Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another Transformers review. This time we're looking at the Transformers Legacy United animated Bumblebee. But before we look at the figure in earnest, we'll pan up and have a look at the packaging, which I've actually got on hand for once. So this is Bumblebee's packaging, Animated Universe, Legacy United, render of the vehicle, render of his animated visage, along with a CG render of the figure there. Come to the back, you've got a picture of the figure with his accessories, 40 years of Transformers, 22 steps of conversion. That side you've got the mural, that side legal gaff, and that is the box. So animated Bumblebee then, this is the modern reimagining of the guy who debuted almost 20 years ago, can you believe it? And it is a pretty cool figure. It is shockingly tiny though. This is a deluxe class, right? But when you actually have him transformed into robot mode, he is the size of a scout class figure. Or, I suppose, the modern dubbing of that would be core class. What? It baffles me. It really does, the size differences nowadays. Anyway, he turns into not exactly a Volkswagen Beetle, but something heavily inspired by that, because Animated did take after G1, especially when it came to B in his design. It's a cool little squat smart car, I suppose. Primary colour is yellow, of course. It's Bumblebee. It's the brightest yellow of any Bumblebee that I've got in my personal collection. He's got a black strip running down this side, which might be somewhat of a reference to the live action version of him as well. Not entirely sure, don't quote me on that. He has a red Autobot symbol on his roof, and he's got a little siren light, which he did have in Animated, moulded onto the top there, which is cool. Angular headlights, and yeah, nothing really on the back. That's kind of it for the car. Most of this is made out of clear plastic, just FYI. Now, it's not a brittle feeling clear plastic. It does actually feel quite solid and thick, so that's good. How does he roll? Kind of average, and that thruster just fell off. In terms of what becomes what, it's actually reasonably well hidden until you really scrutinise it. You can make out the undersides of the feet, and the arms are there. But, you know, the head is hidden well at least. Overall vehicle mode is pretty darn good. It's very small, and it's impressive how much he just compacts into just a small, smart little package. So that's cool. In terms of accessories then, he's got these thrusters, which are clear plastic, which just plug very lightly into these ports on there. And, you know, he can wear them on his back in robot mode as well. And, yeah, it just gives his car or an extra boost, I suppose, in concept. He also comes with his stingers, which was his primary weapon in Animated, and these can plug into the thrusters here, and you can hold them like they are little mini guns. He can also plug these into his forearms and combine his arms, as he does actually in Animated itself, and we'll show them off in a little bit. But that's the modular function that you can do with his accessories, at least. Coming down to transformation then, the first thing that we are going to do is just lightly split these parts away at the back, and we're going to lift this entire section up and hinge it and fold it up on top like that. And then we are going to come to the sides, and we are going to lightly unhook these bits, bringing them into all the body, and then we can fan them out appropriately, like so. And just leave them hanging for a bit. We will deal with them toward the end of the conversion process. Then we are going to untab the windshield from these tabs here, and then we can fold all of this stuff up, and we can hinge the car doors and the arms out appropriately as well. Finish folding all of this back and tab it in, and then rotate his waist 180 degrees. And then we can split the hood of the car, which tabs in quite securely. And we can then open up the hood. We can fold out the knee pads. And then we can rotate both of these round 180 like that. Flipping the figure around again. And then we can fold out the feet. And then we can close up his shins. And then his legs all done. Plonk him down, pan up ever so slightly, and then we can untab this roof bit here, fold it down, revealing his head, and this will tab into his lower torso, just like that. hoist his shoulders up into the correct positions, and then for his hands, we're going to rotate his fists out, close the doors, and rotate his forearms like that. Same thing on this side, rotate out, close, rotate again. And that, once we get his head up and tabbed into place, is animated Bumblebee from Legacy United, fully transformed. He is a squat little thing, and I actually really like the way that this thing has turned out. Obviously, animated has had a bit of difference in terms of its translation to Legacy. You know, the whole cartoony animated aesthetic has somewhat been sacrificed for more realistic proportions, because let's be fair, some of the animated characters like Prowl is the first one that comes into my mind. His proportions, don't know how they managed to engineer it back in the day. Some dark magic, probably some sacrifices, some blood oaths, I don't know. But, you know, they've sacrificed a bit of the cartoony stuff here for B for a bit more of a realistic proportion. It works. If we zoom in on this guy's noggin, his head is very much still in the realm of the animation, which is cool, and he still has a very nice smirk underneath those electric blue eyes. He has the Autobot symbol now on his chest, and part of the black line coming down on this side. Now, the core difference, I think, between this version and the original animated B is that this line here has now swapped. On the original, it was on this leg, but because of the way it converts, it's now on this leg. It's not a big deal, but it's just worth pointing out for difference's sake. Yeah, I mean, in terms of kibble, not a lot going on. It's just the back bumper area, really. So he cleans up really, really nicely. Overall, I'm very impressed with the general profile of this guy. So looking at the modular aspect of his weaponry then, as I said earlier, he can hold them in his hands just like that. I'm not plugging in the stingers because I'm going to show you how they combine in a split second. So he can hold them, and then they can also plug nicely into his back like that. And let's just go ahead and do that now with his thrusters, getting them in, and I realise I probably should be plugging them downward like that, considering how they are sculpted. And then you can also plug them into the sides of his legs there. Now, in terms of the stingers and getting them how they were in the actual show, we're going to open up these panels and fold his fists in. Now go ahead and plug the stingers into each port that is now being revealed. Plug them in sideways like this. You'll notice I've got the arm pointed toward his chest there, and this arm pointed inward as well, because they want to be at these weird angles in order for you to get them into the right position to be able to combine the stingers like that. And there you go, just like Megatron in the 2007 live action film, he combines his arms into his primary weapon gimmick. I'm not particularly a huge fan of this. I don't like it when Transformers have to combine both of their arms to create like a mega weapon sort of thing. I see what they're going for here. It is basically a B stinger. Okay, I get it. Don't necessarily like it though. In terms of articulation for Bumblebee, his head is on a ball joint, so you've got capability of 360 degrees of rotation. He can look up that far, which is very impressive, and he can't really look down because of the shape of his chin. He can rotate his arm out that high before it meets resistance, and it can rotate back that far before it meets resistance, but it can fold out that far, which is good. 360 degrees of rotation at the elbow, and a 90-degree bend like that, but no rotation of the wrist and no inward and outward swivel either. There is no ab crunch of any kind, but he can rotate at the waist 360 degrees. He's got an impressive forward kick, an impressive back kick, and a beautiful spread. He's got 360 degrees of rotation at the thigh. He's got about a 90-degree bend at the knee. I only hesitated because I did just wonder if it was over, but it's not. It is 90. And then you can pose his kneecap back in order to better cover that as well. And then at the feet, he has a little bit of up and down rocker like that. And I believe, yes, he does have the inward and outward rocker as well, which is commonplace on Transformers nowadays. Overall articulation is pretty good. I think the arms are a little bit disappointing, and specifically in terms of the wrists, though. I suppose we had to sacrifice something for the way that he transforms and for the gimmick, but otherwise, not bad. For size comparisons then, here is our Legacy animated Bumblebee on the left, next to the Revenge of the Fallen Nest Global Alliance Bumblebee on the right. And here he is next to the Dark of the Moon Cyberfire Bumblebee, aka Murder Bee. Here he is next to the 2008 Titanium Man, and here he is next to Mysterio. To transform Bee back into vehicle mode, we're going to remove the weapons from his back for a start, just to get them out of the way. And then we are going to come to his arms and split off these door bits here, and just rotate his fists back in like that. Then rotate the arms and just hoist them up so that they are like that. So same thing on this side, open that, flip that in, rotate that and shift it up. And then we're going to come to the chest and we're going to unclip this assembly here and just rotate it all up until it lines up with the hood or roof of the car, I should say. And then we are going to rotate the waist 180 degrees and we can go ahead and unclip it from the back section right there. Then we can return our attention to the shin area and open them up. And then we can fold in the knee pads like that and close up his feet. And then we can rotate all of this assembly round like this. So the wheels are now facing up this way. We can rotate the figure around again and then we can close up the hood and then we can snap the legs together like so. And then we can continue to rotate all of this down. We can unfold the back spoiler bit. Well, it's not even a spoiler, is it? What am I saying? But that's the spoiler. But anyway, fold that down like that. And then you can clip the windshield in at this stage. Some of you might find it a little bit easier to clip it in last, just because trying to get the arms in can prove a little tiny bit tricky. And what we are going to do now is hinge the arms back. If we have this one rotated the right way, it would help, but hinge them back. And what the tricky part is just maneuvering these bits into place, and because it's such a tight squeeze and there's not a lot of clearance, what you've got to really try and do is bring them in at somewhat of an angle. So you can see here I am kind of bending this inwards toward the body of the car and trying to hook this tab round the tyre bit. And then that should allow you, you'll know when you've got it all lined up because this will be in line with this bit here. So a little bit of trial and error. I've just done it on that side though, so that's how it should be. And then you can plug it in at all the required places. With this back spoiler place, there's a tab there, well there's a tab there and there's a slot there you can see, so just try and get it all lined up as best you can, and that is what the finished product should look like. So same thing on this, just try and maneuver it all round until you get it somewhat lined up. I think that's roughly it, and then tab it in at the back last once you've got the side in to position and you're happy with it. There we go. Neaten everything up with a few more squeezes, and that, ladies and gents, is Bumblebee transformed back into car mode. Overall then, I am quite impressed with this little guy. I once again find it quite impressive how you're able to just smush so much good stuff into such a tiny little package with some of these Transformers. This guy is no exception. Articulation's pretty good, the arms just disappoint me ever so slightly, but you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. The overall sculpt is really nice. He is very clearly the animated one. There's no, like, I'm thinking of Transformers Prime characters when I say that. If you look at something like RC or Bulkhead, you think, I can't tell really what continuity that's meant to be from. This guy, very clearly animated. And yeah, they've done a commendable job at updating the original design and modernising it into a very well-crafted, tiny weeny little figure. So I've got no problems at all with recommending this guy to you. He is very fun to convert back and forth. He's very easy to transform as well, and he just looks mighty fine. So thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.